This week's show on Just Soccer is all about the NSL, from Messi-level solo goals to celebrations that had the internet buzzing. AFC Toronto may have lost their streak, but one young star is just getting started. Kaylee Hunter will be joining the show. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Petrillo. Welcome to Just Soccer, and we're going to break things down with our good friend, Amy Walsh, a former player, former captain of the national team, and of course, analyst and co-host of the Footy Prime podcast. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How about you?
I am feeling fantastic because we have been seeing some great footy out on the pitch, and I love when a rivalry between two cities that just transcends every sport has now made its way to the NSL. And of course, that's Toronto and Montreal. And Montreal comes on in, by the way, and snaps Toronto's 5-game win streak with a 2-1 win. That was led by Megan Sauvé, who grabbed her first of the season. These two sides, by the way, separated by just 4 points in the standings. Montreal with the game in hand. Is this the beginning of a real rivalry?
Beginning? Like this has always been a rivalry, right? But
Yeah.
the teams finding success away from their home field and where you supposedly have advantage is an interesting wrinkle to this storied matchup. But it already is. Only 3 matchups into it, which I foresee being a long time rivalry, both between the fans but also the players on the pitch and between these clubs. But the pendulum has really swung fiercely from one side to the other. When AFC Toronto came into Stade Boreal, they had a really dominant performance. Outstanding goals from Regan and Okoronkwo last time that they faced. Obviously, Montreal stealing that win the first time out when Boychuk scored that goal, and then they withstood pressure from AFC the rest of the way to hang on. And then now Montreal asserting their dominance again away from home.
Yeah, Montreal seems to have been pretty consistent all season long. Toronto was a bit slow out of the gate, and now they have found their stride and that 5-game win streak. Who do you think's been their most consistent player during the stretch of wins?
Well, I touched upon the midfield, and I saw that being the battle. And I mean, for Montreal, just to go back to them for a second, they were without Charlotte Bilbao. So you had Felicia Roy, who was a youngster. I mean, you got Kaylee Hunter in AFC Toronto, who was lighting things up, second in a goal scoring in that Golden Boot race. But you have a youngster like Roy, who came into the middle of that park, asserted herself, had a really dominant performance. And you had Ali Hess, who was also played kind of the unsung hero in there next to Bilbao, who's gotten most of the headlines early on in this season. And Ali Hess is the one that created that first goal for Abdu, but it was against a kind of the AFC Toronto side with Pickett, Regan, Small in the heart of that midfield, which to me are at the heart, and they are the heartbeat of the way that AFC Toronto want to play. So for me, if I'm looking objectively at this season, at these 6 franchises, even including a DB Pridham, who is leading the Golden Boot race for Ottawa Rapid, Nikki Small, for me, has arguably been the best player in NSL this year.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about DB, because you and I are bonding over the fact that we do not understand a word that comes out of the mouths of this young generation. And apparently there is this thing called aura farming, which I spent all morning looking up, but it's about your coolness factor, right? Your
I've
aura.
heard.
And then aura farming is about getting those points. Yeah, anyways, all I have to say is that there was this video that was going around of a kid riding some canoe, looking real cool, and DB Pridham and her teammates decided to do that. Did you feel just as lost as I did?
Oh, no, I did. And shout out to the Ottawa Rapid social media manager, their admin.
I ain't even gonna get mad. I'm young, black and rich. She tryna sell me.
I get my TikToks from Instagram because I'm almost 50. I'm 47, so I get things. I'm a little late to the party on it. So I was doing the same research as you. I was madly looking it up to see what was happening. But shout out to the Ottawa Rapid admin who had that going. So you saw the choreographed routine with everybody behind, and then matching up with this dance from this kid. So it hit all the right notes. But also an additional shout out to Mina Lee for Ottawa, who wanted no part of this celebration. She was kind of standing in the back. She's not really a willing participant in it, but she's there for her teammates all the same.
She's probably or a farming. Anyways, translation key. Thank you very much. But the big deal, more than anything, was she also hit double digits.
Yeah, huge.
10 goals. So she leads the Golden Boot race. And that's, so obviously with everything being in its inaugural season, first year, she does become the first player to hit double digits. I mean, she just feels so unstoppable right now.
That's absolutely what she is. It's, can she be more dominant, right? To steal like a Friends reference, further dating myself, but she's in scintillating form, pace, power, precision. This is some alliteration for you. This is DB Pridham. She's a poacher. She is this kind of unique brand of footballer that is such a rarity in the game, to have this archetypal number 9 who doesn't need very much time, doesn't need very much space, but is brilliant in the box. But she connects, she moves off that front line, she drops deeper to link up. You have that supporting cast that is allowing DB Pridham to shine the way that she has so far through this NSL season.
Well, let's talk about some more goals here, because Vancouver absolutely dominated Halifax. 6-0 was the final there. Holly Ward scored a brace, including a solo run that looked straight out of the Messi playbook. Was this the best individual goal we've seen in the NSL this season?
I think it's close. I sound like I'm repeating myself, but Mina Lee in Ottawa Rapid's first game had this mazy kind of darting run where she was undeterred and scored their first ever goal. So they're different, but it brings out the best in Holly Ward, who is, as described by women's national team coach Casey Stoney, she's this old school winger. But I think she didn't have her scoring boots early on in this NSL campaign because there was a little bit of predictability in the way that she was attacking. She was kind of confined to that channel. Defenders could push her to the outside and contain her to a certain degree. But now you're seeing this freedom about her play and an unpredictability where you see this great first touch where she eliminates the back pressure from the midfielder for Halifax, and then keeps cutting inside. And you saw her do that with the women's national team. So it's almost like it gave her license and the confidence to do so. And so she gets a brace for her efforts. She sets up the second goal for the Rise. So it unlocked things for the Rise, which was critical. But I think even more important is you're seeing Holly Ward express herself in the way that she can, warding off defenders, but a dynamic dribbler. She bulldozes with pace, and she's introduced more variabilities to her take-on. So she looks unstoppable right now, and surely a bright star, not only for the Rise, but for NSL.
Love chatting with you, but we got to let you go. Before we do, though, I'm curious to know if you've got 3 young stars this season who have really caught your eye and what you think it is about them that is setting them apart from the rest.
Yeah, it's tough because there's a whole cast of really interesting and exciting talents in this league. So honorable mention to Latifa Abdu for the Montreal Roses, and also the league leader in scoring in DB Pridham, whom we've already talked about. But for me, it's got to be Nikki Small, it's got to be Holly Ward, and it's got to be Kaylee Hunter. So these are the type of player that I think this league is absolutely catering to. So either your first professional contract or coming right out of university, where you're able to flex your muscles in a professional setup where you're tested day in and day out. But, the 22 years old for Small, who's the Wake Forest alum, tremendous athleticism and footballing IQ. I mentioned that she might be arguably the league's best player. Holly Ward, we've already talked about, this smiling assassin, that wing wizardry. She brings pace and consistent threat for the Rise. But Kaylee Hunter, at 17 years old for AFC Toronto, just a tremendous ceiling, Andy. So from her first minutes in this league, she announced herself as an emerging talent and a force to be reckoned with. And she's fearless, she lives for a take-on, and she's a clinical finisher. So remember that name, because I think she's just starting to flex her muscle in this domestic pro league, and we might see her soon on the international scene.
We're going to remember it because she is our special guest here on Just Soccer. So as we say goodbye to you, let's get to Kaylee. So let's welcome to the show striker with AFC Toronto, Kaylee Hunter. How you doing?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I am great, and we know you're awesome because you're scoring goals, getting things done. AFC Toronto, quite the run you're having right now. And I want to talk about your journey just a little bit here, because you started off the season having to prove yourself to make it into the starting lineup. By the way, 17 years of age. How did that help you as a player, knowing that you have to fight for a role? And what did that do for your confidence?
It was kind of motivation. I mean, coming into a team being the youngest in the league, I knew that no matter where I was going, I would have to fight for a spot and prove myself. Having the mindset coming into the season like that, I think it just really motivated me to work hard every day at training, always putting my best foot forward. And then once I got out on the pitch, just kind of did what I normally do, put a goal on the back of the net. That's kind of just how it all started. I was super excited to get that goal, but then building off that in training and then the games following that, I've been doing really good so far. So just got to keep up that mentality, and yeah.
What role did Coach Marco play in instilling belief in you and giving you as well that confidence to know that you belong as well, right? You don't just belong in this league, belong on the team, but belong in a starting 11 role or whatever role you play, but that you are contributing, right? How much of a role did Coach Marco even play in that?
He's been super, super helpful. One of the most influential coaches that I've had so far in my career. The biggest thing is just every day coming into the environment and improving and getting better each day. So every day I come in with that mindset, and then once I'm on the pitch, he, he's not always in my ear, but I know, like, when I'm in a play, I know I can hear him speaking to me saying that's good or that's bad or whatever like that. So yeah, just when I'm on the pitch, I kind of just let it flow free, but there's always that little voice in the back of my head saying the next steps.
Does he know that he's like that voice of God in your head and you're like, sometimes love it, sometimes need you to be quiet?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a joke that goes around, but yeah.
It's the rivalry that keeps on giving. I feel like it doesn't matter what sport you're in, Toronto versus Montreal. We absolutely love it. And there's obviously a rivalry going on between Toronto and Montreal too in the NSL. You're two of the top teams right now. How do you approach those games? Do you feel that? Do you feel the legacy of that type of rivalry between the two cities?
Yeah, I mean, I'm new to that, coming over here to the kind of east side of Canada, but as soon as I got here, I could tell that there's tension between the cities. So, I mean, every time we play them, it's always a good game. It's super competitive, it's physical, it's always super, super fun. And those are the games that I try to be a big game player and just put my best foot forward and, I don't know, do something shifty, score a goal, surprise the fans and stuff. But yeah, it's always a super good game. I mean, for me and my team, we absolutely love it. I'm sure they love it as well. So hopefully we just keep that rivalry going, and I think we play them next month again in Montreal. So looking forward to that.
Well, and speaking of records, obviously with everything being the inaugural season, history will be made with whoever ends up finishing top of the goal scoring charts. And right now, Pridham is there with 10, but you're there with 6. Is that something you think about at all? Like, do you keep track of other players around the league scoring? Do you keep track of her DB because you just see that she's leading at all? I mean, is that on your mind?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I'm aiming for, to be top goal scorer. So all credit to DB. She's done super, super well this season. But yeah, I mean, I'm getting up there and I'm not going to stop.
Well, we look forward to continuing to watch your journey. Appreciate you taking the time here on the show.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Before we go, our viral moment of the week belongs to Anne-Katrine Berger of Germany. She's not just a shot stopper, she's a 2-time cancer survivor who delivered when it mattered most. In Germany's quarterfinal match against France at the Euros, Berger made a series of clutch saves throughout the game and then stole the show in the penalty shootout to send Germany to the semifinals. A night to remember from a keeper who defines resilience.